Well, happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to At Lafayette Live here on Monday, March 31st, 2025. Hope your week is off to a great start. If you're here in the Greater Lafayette area, I hope you survived the crazy winds and rain and weather that we had yesterday on Sunday. It was certainly a rather exciting experience. I believe that we clocked an 80-mile-an-hour max wind gust out here, so it was pretty lively. I was actually out showing houses and doing some sign pickup and things like that yesterday afternoon, and I looked like a wet puppy dog at the end. It was pretty funny, or I guess pretty pathetic, depending on your point of view. But we're so glad that you're here with us on a Monday here on At Lafayette Live. If you've watched us before, welcome back. If you're new to the show, I'm a realtor here in the Greater Lafayette area, and I absolutely love our community, Lafayette and West Lafayette, all of Tippecanoe County and the surrounding area. We talk about the great things going on here in town and surrounding us, development news, real estate news, because I am a realtor, fun things to do, and we're so glad that you've all decided to join us on a Monday evening when I know there are so many things you could be doing with your time. I know that we'll have a special contingent here. I've reached out to some parents who have students coming to Purdue University next year in the fall of 2025. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. I know that getting a student into Purdue University is no small feat, so congratulations to you. We know the student does the work, but we know the reality is that there is no great student without great parents behind them. Absolutely right. So we're going to be talking in a few minutes here about some news from the last week, and then we're going to dive into some tours and some information about 3 condo communities here in, I was going to say in the Greater Lafayette area. In this particular case, they're all in West Lafayette. They're all within striking distance, let's say, of Purdue University, and we'll talk a little bit more in depth about that after we get through the first part of our show. So if you're joining us, stick around for that. Definitely a lot of information to be had. But if you haven't watched the show yet, join in the chat. I got the window open over here, watching it scroll by. Sometimes I can kind of keep up. Sometimes it's a little difficult. So say hi. Let us know where you're from. Where are you watching from? Are you here in the Greater Lafayette area? Are you one of these Purdue parents who maybe is sending a kid to us from far away? It'll be in one of our news stories, but Purdue certainly has a reputation nationwide, which we've always known here in the area, but is it being acknowledged more and more? But have some pretty regular viewers from the California area. We got some, I'll call you friends now, from Texas and even Florida. I know it's a little bit warmer there than it is today. We had some beautiful weather here over the last couple of days, a week or so, as we are starting to transition. We're in spring. We're in astronomical spring. The equinox was 10, 12, 15 days ago. I forget the exact date. So we're in spring, but as the Earth is tilting, the air masses are fighting back and forth, and we're in a little bit of a cold snap, and cold being like 40s and 50s, not zeros and 10s and 20s. So I will take that. But enough of my rambling on, saying hi. I'm so glad that you're all here, as I say over and over again, because there is no At Lafayette Live without you. And if you haven't done this already, and based on the view numbers, some of you have and some of you haven't, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a minute of what goes on here on the channel, on our weekly show At Lafayette Live, on our YouTube channel, The Lafayette Reel, and everything that we put out. And we're putting out content all of the time. So your subscription means a lot to us. Let's get started tonight with some construction news. 'Tis the season. What do they say? And I think this is true of most any area. Everybody says this about their own area. There are 2 seasons in Indiana: winter and construction. And Construction has begun. INDOT, the Indiana Department of Transportation, has announced that they're going to begin repair work tonight on the bridge over the Wabash River down just south of Purdue University, the bridge that goes over 52/231, and they're going to have alternating single lane closures through, they're hoping, about mid-August. They're going to, I think the goal is to have at least a lane open in each direction as they work on this, but use your patience if you are going south of Purdue University. And I will actually show you where on the map this is. So here we go. Looking at the map, here's West Lafayette and Purdue University right here. You can see the airport. That's a good tell. If you're looking for Purdue University, look for the runways. When you're zoomed out, you can pretty easily see the airport down here, see the runways, and then zoom in. But this bridge that we're talking about is this one right here, where 52 and 231 cross the Wabash River. So if you're coming up from southern Indiana using back roads, if you're coming up from Crawfordsville, if you're trying to avoid I-65, this is a pretty common route. If you're living here already, and we're so glad that you are, if you're coming from the south side to the west side to Purdue University, this is pretty common to cut over from Veterans Memorial Parkway over here to 231 and head this way. So that's going to start. That's the beginning of our summer construction season. Welcome to summer. I am just going to check out the stream, and it's doing its thing again. I am going to stop the stream and restart it. Stand by. I will. Are we back? I think we are. Just checking the display up here. I got a lot of windows open in front of me at all times, keeping an eye on what's going on. I got too much of me in front of me. Believe me, you don't want to be here. So that was number one. Moving on to number two. I alluded to this in our introduction. Purdue University has been named to Forbes' list of new Ivies for job-ready graduates. And it's really an interesting dichotomy here. Purdue University spent years and decades saying, you know what, rankings and ratings and reviews in these magazines, they don't mean anything. We know we've got a quality program. And guess what happens when they start scoring in these ratings and rankings and reviews? Suddenly they're the most important thing in the world. I understand why, but Forbes has listed Purdue amongst the new Ivies, joining the ranks of 10 public and 10 private universities that employers highly valued. So the methodology behind this, because I always want to know, like, what does that really mean? I mean, come on. Does that mean anything at all? It's based on a survey of 380 C-suite executives and managers. And that is the data that feeds into this survey. The feedback they've gotten is emphasis on excellence at scale, affordability, and workforce readiness. Apparently, Purdue is the nation's top producer of engineers among leading universities. So I'm not quite sure what that means. What about the not leading universities? What about the following universities? Are there more with that? Let's see if we can see who the other people are, the other colleges and universities are on this list. So there we are. Georgia, okay. Georgia Institute of Technology, so Georgia Tech, ranks on the list. I'm trying to see if these are ranked. No, I'm not sure how this order is listed. We're Purdue University on the list. The University of Texas at Austin is on this list. The United States Military Academy. I don't think there's too much of a shocker there. University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, UNC Chapel Hill, Pitt, University of Pittsburgh is on the list, UV, University of Virginia, and William and Mary. That's a pretty good crowd to be in, and we're amongst the largest in undergrad population. We're at in this survey they have us pegged at 41.6. I believe that's top of the pile in size. The next closest is, well, the one above us, UT Austin, 43.7. And then there's a couple in the mid-30s, and then in William Mary only has 7,300. And our acceptance rate, wow, according to this data, we have a 50% acceptance rate. The 50th percentile on the SAT is 1320. I believe that's still out of 1,600. It's been a minute since I had to take an SAT. So that's really impressive because University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign is at 44%. Pittsburgh is at 50%. But everybody else is really selective. 16%, 29%, 14% at the Military Academy, 18% at University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, 19%, 17%. Even William and Mary is 33%. That's really a low number. That's well done, Purdue University. I think that's really, really cool. So if you've never joined us before, and even if you have, hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure that YouTube knows how much you enjoy joining us every week here on At Lafayette Live. Moving on. Next up in our list, I sound like a broken record here. We've talked about this several weeks in a row, but it is a very, very big deal here for the Greater Lafayette area and for West Lafayette specifically. SK Hynix and their almost $4 billion CHIPS Act investment in a new packaging plant for advanced chips, apparently used a lot in AI technology, has been seeking a rezone for a plot that they want to move their development to versus the one that they currently had been planning on. And go back and watch last week's At Lafayette Live from March 24th, or I believe I have a segment on it on the channel, and I can link it below. But go back and check that out if you want to hear more about the details of what's going on in the background. It's pretty crazy. Quite frankly, the amount of stuff that's going on. I mean, $4 billion worth of investment, and what the developers, what SK Hynix and Purdue Research Foundation have plans to do and want to do versus what the community wants and needs and knows. And there's seems to be a little bit of a disconnect there, and that's where a lot of this issue has come from. But it failed the rezone at Area Plan Commission 2 weeks ago. But the way that it works here in Tippecanoe County, and I believe indeed in all of Indiana, is the Area Plan Commission is basically advisory to the municipality for which it serves. There are actually council members that sit on APC from West Lafayette and Lafayette and Tippecanoe County and all of that. So it failed the rezone request. But the next step is for it to go before the West Lafayette City Council. And it was on, and actually is on the docket for the next West Lafayette City Council meeting, which is Thursday. I believe it's executive session on Thursday. But the particular dates and times aside, they were to vote on approving the rezoning request or denying it. And after being denied at the Area Plan Commission, two of the people at the Area Plan Commission that voted against it are West Lafayette City Council members, and their temperature has been taken. And they, of course, said that, well, not of course, but they said that they would be voting no at City Council. But the other City Council members were still looking for more information and had not made their decision yet. So Purdue Research Foundation, who is representing SK Hynix in this case, part of the issue I believe stems from that SK Hynix is not here, quite frankly. If you guys want to know my opinion on the matter, We need some representatives from Hynix to show up and speak their truth to our community here. But it was supposed to be voted on April 7th, but they have requested to postpone that vote until the May City Council meeting, which is May 5th at Marjoram City Hall in the evening. I believe the meeting time is 6:30 for those meetings. So the meeting that they're going to talk about delaying this vote, pulling this from the event agenda, is this Thursday, April 3rd at 4:30. But I think it's mostly an administrative matter that they're going to pull this from the docket to be considered right now. And what has been said is that Purdue Research Foundation and SK Hynix are working to put together messaging, a campaign to speak to the community. Now, they haven't yet, quite frankly. That's pretty much public knowledge. We're waiting to hear some more about when they're going to hold these meetings and what they're talking about and what's going to happen. It's an interesting conundrum, because where they're currently planning on putting this project is already zoned I-3, Industrial 3. They just want to move one lot over. I mean, I measured it on Google Maps, and it came out to about a whopping 2,500 feet of move. But it's across the street from some neighborhoods that suddenly like, well, we don't want this in our backyard. But when they talked about when people in Arbor Chase and University Farms talked about they don't want this, there's safety radiuses and all this in 5 and 10 miles. I'm a little confused as to the existing zoning and what's going to happen and how all of that is going to work. And I don't know. And I've spoken to a number of people in the community, and I don't think anybody knows. So as soon as we hear anything about any sort of meeting, public information session, anything like that, presentations from Hynix and Purdue Research Foundation, I will let you know. And if anybody happens to be watching from SK Hynix or Purdue Research Foundation, I'd love to have you on the show, and we could talk about that in front of the audience here. So more to come on that. If you want to go to the executive session, 4:30 on Thursday, but it looks like May 5th is the next city council meeting where that might get considered. Yeah, I know. We talk a lot about it. Yeah, watching the chat scroll by on this one is really interesting. There's a lot of passionate feelings about this one. But that wraps up our news, if you will, for this evening. So next, we're going to talk about 3 condo communities in West Lafayette. Condos are good for any number of reasons in any number of situations, but it's particularly good for Purdue University students who want somewhere to live and want to invest their own money, or perhaps parents, you want to invest your money wisely instead of throwing it away and paying for a dorm or an apartment that's never ever going to get returned back to you. You can own a place and then grow your own equity. There's also a lot of confusion over the last couple of years about housing at Purdue University, as their acceptance rates and the number of students that have chosen to come to Purdue University have far exceeded expectations. So housing has been a bit of a headache for students in general at Purdue University in the last couple of years for on-campus housing. So it also gives you a pressure valve, if you will, of somewhere that you can control. So we're going to look at 3 tonight. And the first one that we're going to look at is a brand new development called West Heights Townhomes. And it is so new that it is barely even on the calendar. Forgive me. It is barely even on the map. Most of the maps actually ping it in the wrong location. It is that new. But let me see if I can I'm going to put a pin in a Google map because I know where it is. and I'll show you guys where it's at. Give me half a second to get a pin in the map here. Here we are. All right, there's my pin. Here's the map. And my pin disappeared. There it is. So West Heights townhomes are here on what in this satellite view appears as unfinished area. It's at the corner of Cumberland Avenue, which is the east-west street, and Klondike Road, which is the major north-south street through this area. And if we zoom out a little bit, we'll see Walmart is right over here. This is an actual 2-minute drive to Walmart. It is a 5-minute drive to Purdue University. I like to use Stewart Center as a place at Purdue University because it's nice and in the middle of campus. It is a 9-minute drive to Purdue University, to the middle of Purdue. So by no means is it walkable. And at the moment, you'll see that it requires a little bit of walk for City Bus. Now, we're pretty certain, I'm pretty certain that City Bus is going to extend a stop down here once this development is online, but it doesn't exist just yet. So you do have to walk currently about 0.2 of a mile to pick up a bus, but even so, there is a bus link to do that, and 55 minutes on public transit, 40 minutes looks like the short way to go. So not super fast, but that's about normal for the area here. That is not out of the ordinary. City Bus is our one and only public transit option here in the Greater Lafayette area. What's interesting about these is that this is a community of townhomes. They're still under construction, and they currently are on the market, and they're on the market in 2 ways. They were originally all going to be built as rentals, but then they decided that there's such a demand in the market and such a hole in the market that they are also now selling them. And how many are going to be rented versus how many are sold is basically gonna work out to first come, first serve. And on these condo community tours, I don't normally like to treat them like a normal property tour, but these are so new and so unique that I think it is worth our while to do that. They do come in 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, or 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath. The model that's currently for sale is the 3-bed, 3.5 bath, 2.5 bath model. I got to go to a broker's preview on this just the other day, last Friday it was, so just 3 days ago. And I've heard so much talk about, like these are going to be nice. I hear that a lot. This actually is nice. I'm not talking about premium like $1 million house nice, but it is not, cheap vinyl and click together laminate. It's somewhere in the middle. The fit and finish was quite nice on this. So let's go through a few pictures on this one. And I don't have a ton. Actually, I think I'm looking at the wrong one. Give me just a second. Have a snack while I'm doing this. It is coming up onto middle of the evening here in Eastern Time. If you're watching this from California, I gotta use my fingers for this math. 765, 4 o'clock in the afternoon there. So you guys haven't reached dinner time yet, but all right. All right, yeah, this is the one that I want. Thank you for your patience, guys. Let me just get it pulled up. Okay. So most of these are artist renderings, but like I said, I did get to visit. I did get some photos and videos of the upstairs, but I didn't get any of the downstairs just yet. So I'm going to show you the artist's renderings to start with, and we'll do a more in-depth study of these in the coming days and weeks ahead. But this is the the front elevation, and it evokes the sense of row houses in a city, and that's what it is meant to evoke. And you can kind of see here, there are buildings back to back with an alley, if you will, in between, and you can see the garages on the back side. But we'll scroll through. And here you go. So the main floor, they're all 2 stories and have similar layouts, as it's just the bedrooms are slightly different sizes. As a matter of fact, the square footage is exactly the same size between the two. But downstairs, you kind of have an eat-in kitchen living room in one half and a garage in the back half. And you can see that here. And that is one of the advantages to these particular condos, is they do have the attached garages. And then this is standing behind the kitchen island looking back out. And I got to tell you, and I don't want to oversell it, this space felt large and spacious and airy. It did not feel small and cramped. I was rather impressed with it. The upstairs primary suite, the master bedroom, if you will, with the ensuite, felt like one. Here's a shot of the bedroom. The bathroom has the rain shower set up with separate garden tub, just like you would see in most any mid-level home these days, with the dual basin sink. So while these can be student homes, they're also perfectly great as family homes. There's nothing wrong with that. Here is a rendering of the actual floor plans, and as I say, here's the main floor, and it's about split, probably about 60-40. Here's the living dining area and a half bath downstairs with the garage, and then you go up the stairs and you have the master bedroom and master bath with walk-in closet, and then this is the 3-bedroom model, which is the one that I saw. So you have 2 bedrooms and a bath with the laundry room upstairs, and both of the other bedrooms have walk-in closets. And then you have this balcony. And the balcony felt rather spacious for, what it was. I'm not saying it was like mansion size, but it felt good. I was really kind of surprised at it. A little closer view of the main floor setup and of the second floor. So like I said, this is the 3-bedroom layout. There is a 2-bedroom layout as well. So here's the overall plan of the buildings. This is Cumberland Avenue up here at the top, and you can't quite see, but down here on the side is Klondike. There are going to be 14 buildings. They currently have the front 6 done or close to done, and then the back 6 are graded, and I think they have foundations are going in. I'm not sure about 7 and 8 over here on the side, quite honestly. I have to drive back out there and see what those look like. But the model we saw was actually in building 1, actually. We saw one of these, the second or third unit over here is what we saw. So these buildings are going to open. The first building is going to open, I believe, around June 1st or so. End of May, beginning of June, somewhere in that time frame. So you can buy now and move in basically about a month and a half, 2 months. And we're here at March 31st as I record, as we are live right now. There are retention ponds in in between the sets of buildings, and here you can see the alleys with the garages. A couple more renderings looking out across the pond from one side to another and another. I think that these are great. I think they're going to sell. I think if you're interested in home here in the Greater Lafayette area, and West Lafayette specifically, and you're interested in something like a condo, you should get in on this right now. Now, here's the interesting part about this. As I said, they initially started this as a rental project, and these were all going to be rentals, and they still are. But you can also buy, and we do not know yet what that split is going to be, how many buyers we're going to have before we get to renters. Now, the caveat, there is, of course, going to be an HOA. I don't know exactly what those fees are going to be on the buy side just yet on a monthly basis. If you lease, if you purchase and you want to lease, you have to do so through the HOA's management company, basically through the HOA. That is a caveat. I don't exactly know what their percentages are going to look like, so certainly that will factor into anybody's math about how this makes sense or doesn't make sense. But let's talk about some numbers. The purchase number for the model that we just looked at, which is the 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, as of the end of March, beginning of April 2025, is $489,900. Is that a lot of money? Yes. Is it crazy? No. And here's why. I'm going to talk you through it and why I think this is a good investment, especially if you're a Purdue student, if you're a parent of a Purdue student. You can make money doing this. Not a financial advisor. Caveat, future performance, past, blah, blah, blah. Do your own math. But here's my view on it. You can lease these. Here are the lease numbers, and this is directly off of the flyer that they are giving out to people right now. One thing check this. So the 2-bedroom model, yes, does indeed have ensuite in both of the upstairs bedrooms. If you wanted to lease, so keep in mind, $489,900 is the purchase price. If you wanted to lease the 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, $2,695. If you want the pond view, add $50. The 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, $2,795 per month. If you want the pond view, $2,845 per month for rent, almost $3,000. There is a $75 per person application fee. There is no admin fee. Their deposit is 1 month's rent, and they offer lease terms of 6 months to 3 years. So there is a little bit of flexibility there. Well, what would that flexibility look like in practice once the place is full? Probably not as flexible as it is right now when they're coming online. No utilities are included. The utilities are all individual to the unit. So if you rent, you have to get the gas, electric, water, sewage, and internet all put in your name, just like you would in any other rental. For renters, the condo association is going to charge a $75 a month condo association fee and renters insurance, required renters insurance of $19 a month. So adding almost $100 a month to your fees there. So looking at the top line, $129.45, we're pushing $3,000 a month for rent. Is that crazy? Well, I pulled up some numbers here, and in the realtor world, sometimes Zillow can be a little bit of a bad word, but they're a good place to go find some numbers for rentals. And I just went to Zillow, looked up rental prices in West Lafayette, and here are some numbers that I am seeing. A studio for $1,840, a 1-bedroom for $1,000. A 1-bedroom for $1,400. That's a 1-bedroom. So expand that out. 3-bedroom, $2,000. That one's kind of a good example there. I'm going to pop into that one. See what the map is on this one. Where is map? This is not too far from what we're talking about, but it is very much an apartment and a 3-bedroom, and this is their publicly posted, starts at $1,925. By the time you get in and sign the lease, will it be more? Probably. And what we're talking about is brand new. So we're just going to talk apples to apples here about their rental prices. So I also did some calculations. So that 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath at $2,845 a month, let's talk about a mortgage price. Currently listed for $489,900. I put this into a mortgage calculator. Go out and search for your own. And $489,900. Now, I assumed a 20% down payment, which is $97,980, so $98,000 basically. This is one that's going to be a little harder to qualify as a low down payment home. If you're setting up a student, it's probably going to be a secondary home. It's going to be a little harder to land a 3.5% or even 10% down payment. Is it possible? Yes. But for argument's sake, I'm going to assume 20% down. So you got to come up with the better part of $100,000. But if you're in a position that you can do that, at today's interest rate, which was 6.79%, your mortgage payment is $2,522. That is about $300 less than the rent. Now, when you take into account an estimate of taxes and insurance, the estimate comes to about $2,931, which is admittedly about $90 more than the rent is. Now, once you calculate in the condo association fee and the renter's insurance, it about equals. Of course, as a homeowner, you're going to have insurance, but that insurance is already factored into here. You are going to have to pay the condo fees. So basically, it comes pretty close to break even. So you could pay the better part of almost $3,000 as rent, or you could pay the better part of $3,000 as a mortgage. And if you are in a position where you are sending a Purdue student, or you are a young professional, or just a single professional who's doesn't need all of the room, you can have roommates. And in a 3-bedroom, you can have 2 roommates. If you need 1 bedroom for yourself, you can rent out 2 of the rooms. And you can ask for almost anything that you want. But let's assume that you want to be a reasonable friend to your friends. When those studios are going for, $1,000 to $1,200, your rent is $1,000. Bring in 2 roommates, that's $2,000. That leaves you with $1,000 in mortgage and taxes and insurance that you have to pay every month. $1,000, your roommates are putting $2,000 in, and at the end, all of that money is going to your equity. Would you rather do that? Or would you rather be paying rent to a property manager that you're never going to get any value back out of? I think that it is pretty self-explanatory as to which one makes sense. And I really think that this is a cool new development. People ask me all the time, Jeff, I need a condo in West Lafayette. And the fact of the matter is that there are so few of them, and that of the ones that are there, the turnover is so low that it is really, really hard to get into one. And sometimes they're not well taken care of. There is one development in particular that I won't name that you want to stay away from down close to the river. And even the nicer ones, when they get used for rentals, they get beaten up. So get it on the ground floor and own something from brand new. So that is West Heights Townhomes. Again, out just a little west of town of West Lafayette proper. It's a 9-minute drive into Purdue University. City bus is available. Send me a text right now, 765-413-6190, and let's talk about the possibilities here. Let's see if this works for you or not. And if not, there are some other possibilities as well. So that's condo community number 1. Let's move on to condo community number 2. Get all of these windows out of my way. Goodbye. That's gone. Don't need that one anymore. Got a lot of windows open here. Okay. 2 of them are... The first one that we're going to look at is... Sorry, I'm getting all of my windows arranged again. The first one that we're going to look at is Wabash Gardens, and it is basically in what I would call the main core of West Lafayette. And let's take a look at it on the map. So here we go. This is Wabash Gardens right here. This is 52 Sagamore Parkway just to the north of it. And I'll zoom out a little bit here. Here you go. The property lines make this a little difficult to see, but we'll zoom out a little more. There we go. Here's 52 where it meets Northwestern, and move this down. Here's Ross-Ade Stadium right down here. So this, again, is like a 5 to 8 minute drive from Wabash Gardens down to Purdue University. It is right in the middle of the what I like to refer to as the commercial core of West Lafayette. Fresh Time Market right here. Payless is over here. I mean, you could walk to Fresh Time easily. Walmart, not quite so walkable, but right over here. Now, this is an interesting condo community. It does not come up very often because, check it out, there are 7 buildings, each with 4 units. So that's a whopping 28 units that are available. That exist. They're not available. That's the problem. That's only 28 of them that exist at all. But when they do become available, they're a great choice by location. And if you give me half a second here, we'll talk about what they have sold for when they have come up in the recent past. Looking back over the last 3 months, more units have sold than I thought. Oh, no, sorry. Only 3 have sold in the last since March of 2023. In March of 2023, a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath sold for $183. Actually, right before that, after that, in December of 24, one sold for $174,000. And then the most recent sale in the neighborhood was back on closed on January 5th, 2024. So a year and a couple of months ago at $205,000. So over about a year time period went from 174 to 205, which again is a testament to what I say over and over again. There's the best time to buy property yesterday, but the next best time today. Things are only going to go up. This is a good, well taken care of community overall. Their HOA fee is a little on the high side. I believe it's a couple $100s a month, and there are not a lot of amenities that come with that. There's not like a pool and lots clubhouse and all that sort of thing. But because they are shared buildings, with 4 units, they're sharing a roof, so that HOA fee goes towards maintenance of all of your outside, which really basically you're buying insurance. So if you're coming here for a 4-year undergrad, or a 5-year PhD, or you're going to do your entire career here, or if you're a postdoc doing your initial research work here at Purdue University in the area, this is a great choice that's both close to Purdue University, relatively low maintenance. You pay for that a little bit, but that is Wabash Gardens here in West Lafayette. The next one that we're going to look at, and the last one we're going to look at tonight, is Tower of Ivory. And I get a kick out of that name. I don't know who came up with that name, but, you know, 'tis what it is. And this is actually just around the corner from Wabash Gardens. Pull the map up on this one. Here it is right here. Sorry, I can't get all the prices to go away. I was trying to get all the prices to go away, and I couldn't do that. So this is Happy Hollow Road. And I'm just going to scroll us over here. Actually, I'm going to zoom us. So here is kind of the commercial core of West Lafayette. Here is Payless. Here is Fresh Time Market. You could walk to Fresh Time Market pretty easily. It's probably a 10-minute walk. Purdue University is just down south right here. Here's Ross-Ade Stadium. So not walkable from Tower of Ivory, but certainly a quick 5-minute drive and is outside of the C-Pass boundaries. So you can get a commuter pass and park in the lot here north of Ross-Ade Stadium or down here down in the airport area. So it can be a very good choice for that. But much like others in the community, it is a pretty small community. So we're looking at all of the buildings. And it is 4, 8, 12, 16, 18, 20, 24 units. So again, doesn't come up very often. And you can see the automated system giving prices here of the upper end of the 200s. I'm seeing 249, 267, 275. The system that's spitting these prices out, I would trust these prices to be about right. And again, these are all mixes of these are all mostly 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath on most of them. These also have garages attached. There are, I believe, no HOA restrictions against rentals on anything here in Tower of Ivory. So this can be a great one to snap up if you're in a position to do that. Give you one more number on this. Let's go. I just so much get a kick out of the name on this one. Tower of Ivory. I never remember to ask anybody who might know why Tower of Ivory. I have some friends that would know if there is a good answer on that. The last few that have sold, the last one that sold was back in June of 23, 21, 20, 3 and 18, 1 and 16, 3 and 14, 1 and 13. These do not turn over very often at all. And when they do, they go really, really quickly. And yeah, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Looks like they're mostly 3 bedrooms. And when the last one that sold back in July of 23, so almost a year ago, sold at $236. So those automated prices that we were seeing in the 260s, 270s, that's right. we would definitely work on nailing down the exact price if one came on the market. But if you're interested in that, me and the entire team here would love to be your local Lafayette real estate resource of choice. Please reach out to me. You can send me a text message. Do it right now, 765-413-6190. And let's talk about condos here in the West Lafayette area and the Lafayette area, help you find home. You can reach out. All of the contact information is here. If you're watching on your TV, scan this QR code and it'll take you to automatically load all the contact information and you can send messages. Go to the LafayetteReal.com/YouTube and fill out the form so we can reach out to you and let you know, and we can help you with what you need to know about home here in the Greater Lafayette area. If you're looking for some fun reads, go to the LafayetteReal.com and check out our website and check out the entire channel of videos here on the Lafayette Real. We're so glad that you joined us this Monday and each and every Monday here on At Lafayette Live. Have a great week, and we'll see you again next week.